Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the final week of the Teacup for One presidential movie marathon. My name is Matt, and I have 2 degrees. And tonight, we are moving this marathon into a speculative future. That's right. We started way in the past. Our very first week, we'd had Lee Daniels as the butler. And like I said previously, we got to see a whole spectrum of like a good chunk of the 20th century and the rulers, the presidents that presidented over that time period. Following that, we got to explore with Aaron Sorkin, can the president be just a normal man in love? The answer was maybe, who knows? Then we had Frost Nixon, which was just like, what if podcasts existed in the 70s? It was great. And then following that, we had Kennedy Week, where we got to watch one of my favorite movies of all time, The House of Yes, as well as JFK, a movie I'm still processing. But I highly recommend everyone go look at the comment section in that video because we got like an 80-point fact check from a very passionate viewer. I've only read part of it, but I'm still learning. I don't know what's true and what's not, but I'm inclined to believe that what was in that comment section was probably maybe more truthful than the Oliver Stone movie. That might be a bold claim. I don't know. I know nothing. Anyway, we don't need to know history for this week's movie because it's about the future. Woo! And shockingly, the president in this movie shows up almost as much as Kennedy showed up in the movies last week, which was not at all. So tonight we are talking about Alex Garland's Civil War. So this is a movie from the guy who gave us, I believe it was Ex Machina. I should really do more research before these things. Hold on. Alex Garland. There we go. Yeah, he did a movie called Annihilation, 28 Days Later, 28 Years Later. Wasn't there 28 Weeks Later? Maybe with other zombies? I don't know. Whatever. Anyway, who do we have here in the comment section? We've got the usual suspects. We've got our cats. Eliza is watching Nobody Wants This. Sabrina likes to watch, but she wants scary movies for next month. She is a black cat. That is her right. And my mom is here. Woo! Well, let's bring in our first guest for this evening, our token American. It's Jeanette, everybody. Hi, Jeanette.
I love it. I get to be token.
Yeah.
Yay.
Of course. Jeanette, which president would you want to force a third term onto the American people?
Which one do I think will, or which one would I like to?
Why not both?
Porque los dos. I obviously at this point in history, I would like Obama to have a third term, but I would say that the more likely path, unfortunately, is someone who will not, any one person who would choose to not relinquish the title of president, someone who may have already not relinquished peacefully the title of president.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'd say someone like that, probably.
Yeah. Good answer. We almost saw it happen. And so we did for one day. So
yeah, some of us a little bit more closely than others.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I don't envy you. Well, let's bring in a Canadian to weigh in on this delightful chat. It's Lisa, everybody.
Hello.
Lisa, what president would you like to see do a third term?
None. Anarchy.
Did this movie teach you nothing about anarchy?
No. Well, no, this wasn't anarchy. This was Civil War.
There's some anarchy in there.
It's just divided organization.
You
can have factions.
You can have peaceful anarchy.
Okay, true.
Yeah, this was like, the sides disagreeing because of all the things happening. I don't know.
We didn't tell us. No, we'll get there.
I know. I want to know more. But anyway, if I had to choose, I would choose the dude who established the national park system. Wasn't that one of the Roosevelts?
Teddy Roosevelt?
Yeah. I love a nature-loving guy. Okay. Obama's up there, I guess, but he's still a war criminal. So, all of them are. That's the thing.
I was gonna say, find me a president in 200 years that is not.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, no, all the presidents have war crimes on their heads.
I think any world leader has to some degree until we change things to some massive extent.
Well, that's what we learned in that Annette Bening movie. So yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, I think I love a nice 2-term presidency that America has. Here in Canada, it's different.
They can just stay for a long time.
Like, Trudeau's been in office for way too long. And he can run again, right?
I think the prime minister can just stay.
Yeah, like, as like a party leader, right?
Sure. I don't know how our system works. I'm terrible.
Yeah, you know who knows? Vince knows.
He's not here yet to bring him in, though.
Oh, darn.
No, it would have been such a good.
I know.
Vince. As far as I know, the prime minister doesn't have a set term. I mean, there are still elections, but also I'm embarrassed I'm admitting this on the internet forever to be preserved. Do we have set periods for when we have to have federal elections?
I think we do. Yeah, that sounds right. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I just go to the voting booth when they tell me there's an election.
Yeah, me too. Me too. No,
and I flip a coin or roll a d20, and then that tells you to vote for.
Oh, to live in a world with 20 parties. Wouldn't that be lovely?
Well, no. Oh my God, Jeanette, it's actually the worst. Because you look at all of the statistics of like, so like say like a right-winged party member wins by like 43%. And then the majority of the voting population actually just didn't actually vote for the right-winged party because they all voted for various other parties. Either from like other
it steals votes.
Yeah, it steals votes.
And like, sure, but we need more than 2.
The only reason, and I will say this live on air with my chest, is that I only voted for Justin Trudeau, I think like when he first got elected, or like the second time he got elected, was because he was promising an election referendum where they were going to look at like changing our voting system to it being something along the lines of like, if it like, say if I voted Liberal, right? Or no, say if I voted like NDP and NDP lost, I could like have a second vote.
What?
Towards, that's like one of the options for like a different type of voting system.
That makes more sense.
So like if there's only 43% of like conservatives and they technically win that riding, then the people who didn't vote or didn't vote for that 43%, but they were like in the majority of like other parties who were lower than 43%, they would get like a second vote, which would probably be a game changer, I think.
Tracking that would be such a logistical nightmare, though.
I know, that's the thing. I think like administratively,
voter fraud would be a lot easier that way too.
Maybe. I don't know. There's other ways of doing it that I've heard like is interesting, but I don't think the Canadian system is any better than the American system. Although I don't understand the electoral college.
Neither do most Americans. So it's, you know.
So
anyway.
I don't understand very many things when it comes to the politics. I just go onto the websites and answer the questionnaires where they're like, how do you feel about this? How do you feel about this? Then they give me a little graph and it's like, here's a dot that shows how much you are this party. Here's this party. And then that's my starting point.
That's a really good starting point. A lot of people don't even do that. So
yeah, well, I mean, I love it. Just give me a quiz, like a BuzzFeed quiz, for example, but one that's put out by people who know slightly more and more in depth. And yeah, give me a quiz. Tell me who I should vote for. AI. Anyway, speaking of tell me who I should vote for, it's Vince.
Yo, what's going on, everyone?
Vince, what's up with Dutch angle?
What? Oh, I've got a new thing going here. I think it's kind of cool. How does everyone feel about this?
It's as cool as that Eddie Bauer vest. I love some Eddie Bauer.
Well, come on. Like, this feels remotely military sort of thing. There are men in the military who wear vests, so I thought, like,
specifically puffy vests.
Vince, please tell us about how electing the prime minister works.
What? Well, you got all these ridings, right? Which are like neighborhoods around the country. And everyone
No. I think we're looking specifically for like the terms of the prime minister. We know how the ridings work. I mean, maybe not Jeanette, but that's okay.
Yeah.
What do you mean the terms?
Like, they
want to know how long the term is and how many they can have.
Well, you can have as many terms as you want.
Okay.
But like,
there are no term limits in Canada. It's a big thing. A lot of people want term limits.
Yeah. But okay, so then how does, like, when does an election get called?
Yeah.
Well, look, it's either every 4 years, I believe, or the prime minister can call an election whenever they want.
But so,
or
is it
like
every 4 years? That doesn't make any sense.
4 years is the limit. Like, it can't. There can be no gap between elections longer than 4 years, I believe.
Oh, okay. Oh,
okay. What
so
can
y'all
happen
don't
is
have the same election day every time, like we do.
No,
it's like
right.
Super
it can
Tuesday
happen whenever.
Yeah, we don't have the same appointment day either.
And so, like the prime minister can do some monumental achievement with the party and like have high favorability, call an election, win, and conceivably last another 4 years,
and have as many of those as they like.
Yeah, until they get kicked out.
Yeah,
we have all-you-can-eat buffets. We don't have all-you-can-have presidencies.
We used to have those.
We still have those. We have the Mandarin.
That's it. Used to be so many more.
That's very true. That's very
true.
True.
Now they're concerned about your health, and you know what? Poo-poo them. So
they're not concerned with our health.
Oh, I thought it was like a can't have it anymore sort of thing.
Oh no, like it's like a capitalism thing. It's
okay.
Yeah. Look who's here! It's Kristen Zaza. Woo!
Hey.
All right, so I guess we should talk about the movie. Tonight was Civil War. Alex Garland's Civil War. I thought the president was going to be in this movie a lot more. I thought the president would be more important in this movie. I thought this movie would be a lot of things that it wasn't. I didn't like this movie. There we go. And I thought I would just not like it because it was super violent. But I got past that eventually and then was like, well, don't care for the violence. But that aside, I just don't think this is a good movie. So that's my opening statement. Jeanette, what did you think?
So I had seen this before rewatching it over the past 2 days for this, and I liked it a lot. I like a good shock film, so I feel like there's enough shock value in this. I like how it's shot. I think it's shot like the subject matter it's talking about. And I think that it might be the best performance of Kirsten Dunst since Interview with the Vampire. So
whoa,
wow,
fighting words.
It's a big one. Big one. It's a big one for me.
Great. I do think she was great.
Big moment.
Although, that's a good question. Sub question: what is the best performance from Kirsten Dunst for everyone?
Virgin Suicides.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
Okay.
Vince?
Spider-Man 1.
Oh, Jesus. How did I know you were going to say that?
Yeah, I love Spider-Man 1.
There's a 50%
Spider-Man
chance that
1.
anyone of the male persuasion will say that if you ask them.
Well, I don't know. I think it was a better performance in Spider-Man 2.
I
think. It's so good.
Is anyone's performance in Spider-Man 2 really like?
If it counts for anything, I think she's a lot better in this. I think this is her new best thing.
You know what? I really do love Kristen Dunst. I was going to say Kristen Stewart.
Good choice.
Yes. Interview with the Vampire.
Interview with the Vampire. She was Marie Antoinette in that Sofia Coppola one.
Mm-hmm.
And like very stylized, very like, not historically fully accurate, but like still cool. I don't know. I think I like Kristen Dunst, and I loved Power of the Dog. I know that is not a popular opinion.
That's like my standard, like the Peter Pan 03. Like I'm like, this is like, I can't, well, it may be not as bad as Peter Pan 03. It's just, I don't know. It dragged.
Jeanette, just to be clear, my Peter Pan 03 is now the House of Yes.
Oh yeah, I remember.
No, we have to bump that off the list. I can't live with that one.
We
have to find a movie Lisa hates more. We'll see you next month. We'll see. Anyway, Lisa, what are your opening thoughts on Alex Garland's Civil War?
I didn't know. I've seen like some of the trailers and the promotion for it. So I was a little intrigued to like see what it was about. My initial thoughts are I think like this is going to be like a huge Oscar contender in terms of maybe performances, but more of like sound and cinematography, production design. I'm just reading Kristen's.
I know. I realized it after I said it. I was like, oh no.
I'm sorry. I'm still sorry, Kristen.
First you rip out her heart, and now you've ripped out mine.
Yeah, I apologize. I still am very like I respect both of you immensely, but we don't share the same opinion in movies, and that's okay. That's what friendship is all
why
about.
we're here.
Yes.
There will be no Civil War here.
No, there will be no Civil War here. We can have peaceful anarchy here. Anyway, yes, I think it's going to be a big Oscar contender, and I liked it a lot. I mean, I think I was very disturbed by it, and it was making me ask a lot of questions of myself when it comes to like, what would I do in this like type of world, this type of scenario, because it seems very eerily on the horizon for us in the West. So yeah, I really enjoyed it, although disturbed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Vince, opening statement.
You know, I had this whole bit like planned, but like I didn't plan it well enough. But I was gonna come in like pretending I watched Captain America: Civil War instead of this. And I'm gonna spare all of you, everyone watching this. Yeah. Anyway, look, I love this movie. I thought it was awesome. Civil War, great. It kind of reminded me of 1917 in terms of like, you know, depicting the atrocities of war, the hardships, you know, people on the front lines, but from a different angle too. It's very different than 1917, but it made me feel a similar way, and I liked it. You know, I liked it a lot, and I can't wait to get into it. You know, Kristen Dunst. You know, I'm sorry. I'm sorry about the Spider-Man one thing, Kirsten. I'm sorry.
She was great. I don't understand.
You were spectacular in Spider-Man.
Is that a joke? I thought she was fine. She was good.
I'm joking with Vince about, because literally, like, if you ask a lot of guys, it is definitely the one they will give you.
Well, from now on, I'm saying Civil War. I'll tell you that. I'll tell you what.
I really liked her in Spider-Man, but probably for the same reasons as Vince.
Yeah, I've never disliked her in anything, but I thought she was like notably good in this.
Yeah.
I'm glad Jesse Plemons wasn't in it for more than he was.
Yeah,
I was worried that this was just going to become the cringy thing that they just make movies together now. But seemingly it's only been 2. In my mind, there were more, but it's only Power of the Dog in this. But
I know, doesn't it feel like there's more?
Yeah.
That's how I felt when I saw this. I was like, God, and I'm like, God, it is only 2, I guess. But you know they're gonna do more. You know it.
Of course, they just that kind of couple. Like, if I get an offer, you only get me if you get the other one. So
yeah, and like they're not that like both amazing in my books that I'm like, oh yeah, what a Hollywood couple. That I'm like.
Yeah, although that said, Jesse Plemons was my favorite part of this movie. That whole scene was my favorite part of this movie.
That was wild. I have some questions about that scene.
Let's go.
Okay, so who does everyone think those guys were? Because I don't think they were even military guys. I think they were just like highwaymen.
So they were. I think they were ones that were on the United States of America side, which is like not the bad guys in this one, I suppose. But I think they were on their side, but they were the extremists of that side, and they wanted to just hurry things up. Like the people on that side weren't even handling it good and fast enough for them. Like they were like, no, we're going to do it this way. We're going to do it like old school style.
Yeah.
So that was kind of what I got from them. They obviously weren't on the secessionist side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it was just a very interesting scene. I thought they were like diving into some Game of Thrones stuff where these guys were like rogue soldiers that were just like, pillaging, like, pillaging at the side of the road, stealing people's stuff and throwing the bodies in a ditch. It was terrifying.
What's scarier and terrifying is that they have a set of morals that they follow, and if you don't fit in them, then you die. Like, that's, to me, that's even, like, that's worse than, oh, you don't have any material things, well, then we'll kill you. Like, I don't know. Yeah. I'm with you. It was, he was the most convincing act in the whole thing. I felt like, even though he's only there for a little while, I feel like he was amazing.
To me, they seemed like ex-military, but like still very like proud boys of it all, because they were still wearing military garb, weren't they? Or were they just wearing green?
It kind of looked like Halloween store costume, military garb. It didn't look as professional as the other stuff. Like, it looked a little flimsy, one of their tops, and maybe that's just because it's an A24 film and they got to save money here and there because they got to crank out quality stuff for a little bit less, and God love them for that. But I'm just wondering about the costume, and who knows?
I don't know. But that was
maybe that's just me.
It did look like they were just taking stuff, because he definitely had like some Party City sunglasses on or something.
I love these sunglasses.
Yeah, I noticed it this time around. I thought they were like some sort of special military glasses before, and then I'm like, no, I think they're from like the Christmas thing that's like right up the road or whatever. They look like they're like themed glasses. I didn't notice that before. So you might have something as far as them like taking stuff from people, but I think that's just a consequence of following their weird little code.
And I think it's better that we don't know. Sorry, Lisa, I didn't mean that.
I will say I do have those glasses.
Why aren't you wearing them right now?
Because they're green and like they're all like scratched up because I don't take care of my sunglasses properly. And I got them from Amazon. So it was an Amazon purchase for the production team for sure.
Do we think Amazon is still functioning in this world while the war?
Absolutely not.
No, I think they are, but it's no longer 24-hour delivery.
Probably.
It sounds like in the middle of the country, things are kind of going, and the closer they got, because they did like that weird little curve down, they kind of went into West Virginia around and then like up or over. And so with the closer to the middle of the country they got, and they talked about their parents on the farms in Missouri and Colorado. So I think maybe more towards the middle of the country, you can ignore the problem. It's almost like, like when a war is happening in another country and you can kind of turn a blind eye to it. That was kind of the impression I got. So I feel like maybe there's still life going on in the middle of the country.
So I feel like the closest we see
and like trade routes are cut off and stuff, but
the closest we see to that, there are snipers still on the buildings in the idyllic little town.
Yes.
Maybe Amazon moved their headquarters to Canada.
That's why our currency is so strong.
Guys, when they were talking about the Canadian currency being that worthwhile, I was like, wow, what a dream. That's such a utopia.
Well, you know what would happen is, I mean, honestly, what could happen, very realistically could happen, depending on how this election goes.
Dollar for dollar?
Some companies might, well, I don't know, would bring it up. Some companies might move their operations up there. Like, they may foresee things like this or predict that things could become unstable and could move to there or London or Mexico City or whatever, wherever they find safer. So, I mean, that's, again, that's what's so terrifying, especially if you watched the friggin' debate last night and then watch this. It was like watching like a prequel. It was like, oh, cool.
I would have loved the prequel to this.
This is the 25 years before movie, and now I'm gonna watch this.
Yeah, what I really needed in this movie was an understanding of like the background, because I understand on a very basic level that Texas and California teamed up to become the good guys,
which is wild, right?
So wild
So
and very
wild.
unlikely.
But the two states that most often talk about seceding.
Exactly. Yes.
So
100%.
Makes
so what's
sense.
the deal with Florida?
So Florida has a high immigrant population. And so I would imagine that would be where a lot of them would go to either get to an island or to just safeguard themselves. But that was because I was thinking about that too. And on this rewatch, I was listening to try to look, but like the inclination I get is that there's an extremely high immigrant population. And so that is why Florida could be a bastion. I imagine it would be extremely contentious and like a little more uneasy than it sounds like Florida and Texas. I mean, Florida and Texas, California and Texas have been, which also makes me wonder because like Arizona, New Mexico, Nevada, very conservative overall. There are extremely blue spots like Las Vegas and things like that, but very red states. And it'd be interesting to know what's happening in between there and what's going on with the southern border in and amongst all of that. So I would love to see this universe expanded upon, honestly.
Yeah, I think that's why I was disappointed in this movie. I feel like there was exposition that I wanted that I wasn't necessarily getting. It was difficult for me. Like, yeah, I had the very basic understanding that California and Texas were a thing, and then there were other folks, but as all the battle scenes and the war scenes were happening, I had a hard time tracking who was what and what the respective alliances were. But yeah, for the most part, I think the reason that I really appreciated the Jesse Plemons scene was because that was the scene that to me was the scariest, because it felt like the most realistic and relatable in terms of here is a certain type of person that is very recognizable in like our everyday life. Even just, scrolling Facebook and seeing comments, and it's like, this is what happens when that type of person is empowered in such a way to give into certain impulses and just wreak havoc and chaos. And there was that level of relatability and recognizability is what I wanted from the whole film, as opposed to what felt like a very, I don't want to say generic war movie, but it felt like just watching scenes in isolation. It felt like this could be in some ways any war that's happening in the world right now, which I do see has value as a certain point. But then at the same time, as an audience member, I want more of like more fear struck in my heart of I recognize some facet of my life in this, which I like.
So interesting. I definitely recognize some facet of like, maybe not like of like all of Canada or all of America like this, but I think like what the movie does so well is like adventures to see these like different pockets of people who are being affected and feeling empowered on what I would say like a very more conservative side, like the president's side of things. And I don't know, maybe I just like see it so much on social media and like in discourse around things like in Toronto specifically, that I'm like, oh God, like this is like so, like it felt very immediate to my world at least. And that's why it like began like making me question, like, if I was like a person in this world, and specifically like a war correspondent, how would I deal? Like what would the actions, what would the decisions be that I made? I definitely felt like it was not so much of a generic movie and more of like, oh, this feels real to my world.
Yeah. I'm really glad that you used the word empowered, because I think when people go, oh, he's just, it's more specific to our time now, our present time, like, oh, that person's just an idiot. Or, oh, well, you don't have to agree with them. If they win, they win. It is the empowerment of people who have the ideals, and more dangerously, more extreme ideals than the people that actually get elected, because they are then empowered. And so that's why, again, like you're saying, like he feels like a very real part of this because you see it in your everyday life. It doesn't matter if it's a good or a bad thing. If someone, that's why representation matters, right? On the flip side, the positive side, that's why representation matters. If I see someone being themselves, I feel empowered to be myself. So like the snake can eat its own tail, but I think that's why this movie hits on a lot of cylinders.
Yeah. And I think like it's wild. It's so wild thinking about this because I remember when Trump was elected, and like being so distraught, not because I wanted Hillary to win, although I guess at the time I definitely did, even as a Canadian. I remember feeling like so devastated and I couldn't put into words why. And all I could like relate it to was at the time I was teaching like a lot of like music theater camps and I was like working a lot with children and I was like noticing a lot of like, you know, the fact that like children mirror like adults and like they just like develop out of like the nurturing like environment that they're in, right? And I was like, oh my God, like these kids are going to grow up in a world where they're like seeing this like man just spewing a lot of hate and spewing a lot of bullshit. And like now I don't know how long ago that this was. What is time? But like
8 years?
Yeah, 8 years now. I'm like, yeah, I think it's the empowering thing of yes, you can totally be empowered in a very positive way, but you can also be empowered to believe in like the hatred and the shame and like the guilt towards yourself, towards
your visibility.
Yeah.
Like, people say, oh, well, people were thinking it anyway. Now they're just saying it. It's like, yeah, that was moving in the right direction. We want people to keep it up here. Don't say it. Don't act on it. Don't keep your stupid thoughts up here.
And then it was like, oh no, I see someone who is the head of state saying things out loud.
Whatever they feel like saying.
Yeah.
Like it makes me think back to, there's a video that I've seen circulating TikTok over the past year or so, or past few months, going back to when, was it John McCain against Obama the first time?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, so it's at one of the McCain rallies, and then he's talking to the people, and then one lady gets the microphone, and she's like, "I'm so scared if Obama wins because he's not from here and whatever." And then McCain takes the microphone away from her. He's like, "No, we're not going to have any of that because if he wins, America will still be in a great place. We disagree fundamentally on different subjects, but I'm not listening to you." And it was just it's so interesting with the lens of 8 years later, seeing that that woman who probably very much became a pro-Trumper later on, but it was like in that instance she was seemingly the minority, like she was speaking to a leader that she thought was going to power her.
It's strange to think about how moderate McCain
4 years
seems
or 8
now.
years later.
Yeah, truly. Like what a diplomatic thing to say, and also like to
professional
boundary setting. Like we're not going to talk about something irrelevant to what's actually going on.
On that point, I think I love how they show this guy in this movie. He's not nearly as dumb or as hot around the collar or off the cuff as the person that we are currently dealing with. I'm guessing something happened. But he's not as bad as that, but they do show him like obviously lying, like just changing the speech in the heat of the moment, being like, it's a good victory. It's a victory for everybody. It's the best victory and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, and it's like showing him just making up the lies and stuff. I do think it's effective that they don't show the president that much. And that the idea is that is what's going to end the war, is killing the president, and that he is just a figurehead. Now, the fact that it was Nick Offerman, I feel like was a real throwaway, because now we'll be hard pressed to get Nick Offerman as the president and something else. But that's the only downfall of this, is I just would have liked to have seen more dipshit president Offerman. So yeah,
I would love to see him be a good president in something else, honestly. Because I love Nick Offerman.
No, well, yeah, overall in something else, or even I think that was one of the things I felt like I was missing. I went into this assuming because it was Nick Offerman that there would be more screen time and more exploration into. Now I knew I had read that they didn't like establish which party he was with, which I do think it was a smart choice, but I still assumed that we would get that he would be more of a presence instead of just an idea. Yeah. Like I wanted to know.
Like this
I want
thing,
to see the corrupt president.
The movie is not about the presidency. It's about like the civil discourse that's happening in society, and
because he's let it get that way.
And like he's the device, right? And like I love making an average white man a device in any story. Like so good. And like that's why I was like okay with not having so much screen time, because he served his purpose. And I was like, okay, got it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, he was very MacGuffin-y.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I enjoyed the journey to get to him more, then I think I could appreciate that a little bit more. But yeah, I wasn't underwhelmed. I was whelmed.
You were whelmed.
I was whelmed by the journey it took for them to get there. And also I said this before we went live, the poster misled me. It's a bunch of people fighting from the Statue of Liberty. We didn't get that.
Oh yeah, that would be great. I was expecting something like that.
Yeah. And I mean,
that would be a good opening scene.
Yeah, like I thought there would be more classic American imagery that would be
Washington.
Yeah, but that was at the end. I want it throughout.
Oh, the sequel's gonna be in Las Vegas or something. Good.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I mean, it starts in New York.
That'd be good.
You get the skyline and everything. You don't get the Statue of Liberty.
Mm-hmm. It's true, but I wanted the scene from the poster.
I would love to see the Florida one, and I'd love to see a scene of like
theme park,
Disney World being like, I don't know which side got to use that as a stronghold, but that'd be a really good take.
Absolutely, Florida makes a lot of sense because anyone who's played Risk knows that if you bottleneck in Australia and you just strengthen your defenses in Australia, you can get at least second place with that strategy.
Australia and Florida have to do with each other
because it's a panhandle.
Yeah,
you got the Florida panhandle, and if you bottleneck, you defend that bottleneck and you defend your shores, you got it. And Australia is the same way. If you look at the Risk board,
right? Okay.
Not in real life.
I haven't played Risk in a while, so
I only played once. I didn't know what I was doing. I just played with the little plastic people.
I used to love playing, but every man that I ever beat at it got very angry at me afterwards. So.
They mansplained.
Oh, that's horrible.
That's awful.
That's what I imagine. Risk
they all suck.
People yelling at everybody.
You deserve to play Risk without people getting upset.
You do.
We should all play Risk one day.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Well, I would probably.
We'll get a Twitch channel going.
So let's talk about the whole idea of the press as it's represented in this film. Now, this is something I'm very ignorant to. Is it a thing in real life? And I think it is. But a thing in real life that the press will just be in war zones with little hats that's the press, and people more or less leave them alone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's crazy to me.
I know. It's so wild. You know why it's so wild to me? It's because in Gilmore Girls, Rory Gilmore wants to be a war correspondent like Christiane and Amanpour. And like you fully realize as you watch the series that like this kid, this silly little woman is not ever going to be fit to be a war correspondent. And so like seeing it actually take place in this movie, I'm like, oh yeah. There's like most of the population would never be able to do that. I think more of the population would be able to like be in like war and be like soldiers because like it's such a like a training thing. But like to be a war correspondent and be right in the action, I'm like, I don't know, you need some balls of steel.
Yeah.
Why does everyone leave them alone? That's what would terrify me.
Because it's a war crime. If you kill, they're essentially like they're a civil, but they're protected. They're even more than a civilian. They're a protected entity. They're like a diplomat or whatever. You know, like I don't know the best analogy for it, but it's a war crime. It's against the thing that everybody, even people who are trying to kill each other, have to follow.
Yeah, it's like the Doctors Without Borders. You can't kill them either.
Well, I mean, there's there's
now
armies that
people
will
get
kill.
killed.
Yeah.
And
There's
that's
no
where the Jesse
guarantees.
Plemmonses of the world and their people, because 2 of those people they killed had press badges.
Yep.
So
yeah, they didn't care at
yeah.
all. But
And that's where I think Vince is right. Like they were on a side at one point. I don't think they're currently on a side.
They're on their own side.
they're very
Yeah.
they're extremists for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. I also think like for any side in a war, they want it to be documented for like their narrative, right? Because like the bad side and the good side, whatever that means to an individual, one side will believe that they are the right, like they're the correct side to be part of. So they want that to be documented in their history books. So like it actually doesn't matter where the person who is taking the pictures, who is corresponding on the war, like what their personal opinions are, is because the documentation could be used on either side. And it's actually like really beneficial to have those archives, right? Or at least, I would think any logical, position in war would think of that when it comes to documentation.
And with American sources, the news is somewhat of a protected entity in America. So it's almost like a right of the people. Like if we can have people there, we will have people there because we need to know what's going on. We need oversight by someone that's not the military themselves. So at certain times in history, it becomes something like that. And that's where you get your instances like where they found the soldiers who had like, Iraqi people piled up and were taking really weird photos with them and stuff. And like the press going in there and finding, I know they didn't specifically find it, but exposing stuff like that. Like even if you're not taking the pictures, being in that circle and being able to expose things like that's important.
Yeah.
Well said. Well said. Learning so much from this movie.
It's such a good education in terms of like war, like I know it's like in this like future fictional place, even if it does sometimes for myself, it felt like very eminent in our own reality. But like it was such a good analysis of like what war can do to a society, what a civil war can do to a society. I thought that's why I'm like it's such a good film that like it is Oscar worthy.
Yeah, if it makes it to the Oscars, I'm glad we're talking about it tonight. So
I know, so we don't have to.
But sorry, Vince, you were going to say something.
Oh, you know what? If it does go to the Oscars, it'll be, I think, Best Original Screenplay and Best Original. Because come on, what else is an original screenplay? This is a great original screenplay. It's not based on anything. Some guy just made it up. How often do you see that anymore? How tough was it to get funding for this? People are going to be producers like, what's it based on? Nothing. I made it up. Like, I don't know. We're afraid to back it. This is great for original screenplays.
How many of us have seen Annihilation? Yeah, good. I knew you had. Yeah, for sure. I don't know about you. I will watch anything with Natalie Portman. Yeah, we just go Natalie Portman. What's Annihilation? Natalie Portman.
So I read the book. And
there's a book.
There's a book, and the movie is 100 times better. Like I've never felt this way about like book source material being less than the actual movie. But like I think like the portrayal of Natalie Portman's character in that. Oh, it was just so good. It was so good, Jeanette.
I was just gonna say, like, I think that Alex Garland, if you look at that, because everybody's told me I need to watch Ex Machina, that I would love it. I still have not seen it. But I think that looking between this and Annihilation, which I loved Annihilation, was that he handles really dark material that does not end the way that anyone who looks at things through like the good guys one typical ending, like he's not doing that. and I think he handles that really, really well. Because I think this movie could have the ending we got and kind of the direction it took could feel distasteful or jarring to some people, and I think that he did it really well.
Yeah,
so I'm with Vince. I'm with Vince.
I'm a little mixed on the ending, but I think I love it. I'm pretty sure I love it.
So the ending. Can we talk about the ending? It's a spoiler alert.
The ending.
Yes.
Okay, so the ending happens when Lee gets shot because she's protecting Jesse.
Yeah,
and
Jesse
then
takes the photo.
And then Jesse takes the photo, and then she goes into the president's. It was the Oval Office. No, it was somewhere where the president was hiding.
Yeah.
The army guys get in there.
Yeah.
And before they shoot them, the Pedro Pascal wannabe guy. I forgot his name. What's his name?
Burn. I don't know.
Burn?
His name's Joel, I think.
Joel?
Joel.
Joel.
He's so cute. I loved him. Anyway, he before they shoot him, he wants to get a quote, and then the president whimpers, and then he's like, "I've had enough," and then they shoot him. Jesse takes the photo, and it's done. Is that how it ends?
Yeah, but did you let the credits keep going where the picture develops?
No.
What?
No?
No,
oh yeah, if you let the credits roll, her picture it's a white screen, and then the picture develops onto the screen of the soldiers, and it's like both of you said about like it feels very at home because you're looking at the Oval Office, but then also it feels like any war picture that you would see of like soldiers standing over, like when they got Bin Laden or Saddam or whatever, like whenever they do these things where they capture these people and they take photos like almost like a prize game animal, right?
Yeah.
And that's what it develops into is
we saw that. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So that's I feel like that's a valid part of the ending. I don't know why, just because it feeds more into that whole thing.
Yeah. No, I love the movie. I mean, I was heartbroken when Lee dies, but like,
yep,
it had to happen.
It was her or Jesse. One of them had to die.
We're setting it up that one of them was going to die, and I think it was like so clear that like when Lee was so adamant in like mentoring her, I was like, oh, she's going because it's like
she's training her replacement.
Yeah.
Well, but also Lee said that she would like take a photo of whatever junior girl dying. He went against her standards, her principles.
Wait, what do you mean?
Remember at one point, Jessie, that's her name. Jessie's like,
yeah, she says, would you take a picture of me?
Picture of it? And then she's like, well, what do you think?
Yeah, but like she obviously like cared about Jesse, right? Like there was
I think she's just saying I would take a picture of anyone that I knew
that got shot. Yeah. And I think because like she was at that moment able to save Jesse, I think like her professional, very like Capricorn energy was like out the window. And she was like in protective mode because she had that ability. I think like if it just had like if she didn't look in time and Jesse got shot, I think she fully would have.
Oh, okay, fair. Yeah.
But because
do we all notice that her character from the moment she meets Jesse starts softening? Like she doesn't cry or even blink at the beginning of the film, and by the end of the film she's like crying during wars. When they're laying on the ground outside of the house where those those guys are on the ground shooting, and they're like, why are you shooting? That scene, when Lee is on the ground, she goes from focusing on the war stuff, so like the soldiers, to focusing on the flowers, and it happens twice.
Yeah.
So I really liked that, and I would love to know how that was written in the screenplay, because those seem really important in like the changing of her character.
Yeah, those seemed like really poignant moments. And like those moments were so much about how I would think like women are like in war, because like there is like that like softening to be able to like relax, but then also like for compassion. Not to say men be compassionate in war, but like I don't know. There's not a lot of war movies with like women in the action, and like I really appreciated how they were.
Passchendaele.
Okay, that she's a nurse, and
He's still in the action.
Romance.
Rambo First Blood Part 2.
I've never seen it.
Wouldn't that be Second Blood?
Well, you got to take it up with Stallone.
You got to take it up with Stallone.
Yeah, well, to the point of what are the names? Jesse and Lee's relationship. I got Jurassic Park vibes. Did anyone else in the first scene was like, why is she in the car? Felt very much like when the kid is following Dr. Alan Grant and it's like, which car are you going in? Whichever you're in. I was like, oh, is this what are we doing this? Is she gonna dive into her like parental instincts now, mentoring this child through the apocalypse? And more or less, and there it is. So this is Jurassic Park.
Can we just talk about when they get to the shop in the weird Twilight Zone town?
Yeah.
They're trying on the dresses and stuff. I Vince, you're the one who
there was it felt like they were gonna go in a possible romantic direction at some point.
And then and as like if you
no, I felt that the first time I watched it, but then on this rewatch I was like, I think I was reading into it, but I thought about it.
Okay.
I'm getting all hot and bothered now.
Just because she was like, you look good in the dress?
No,
there was
like some looks and some vibes.
There was vibes. Listen. I have spent so much time within like dialogue of like trying to like capture sapphic tension between women. And like they fully do it in the screenplay in that scene where like Jesse like says something where you're like, oh, it's just like, you know, a mentee talking to a mentor in a friendly manner. But then like it escalates like little by little, like to the point where she's like, you look good when you smile. And like, it's a very like, and I'm like, I feel like they were fully trying.
I felt it the first time, but then I watched it this time and I was like, nah, even if it feels like it in that scene, I don't think it's what was intended because it's a very maternal feeling relationship.
It panicked.
Not that can't mean that it's still sapphic, unfortunately, but
that to me sounds like another missed opportunity if that had been more thoroughly explored in the movie.
House of Yes. We've moved past incest.
This wouldn't be at the level of
I'm saying because of the maternal feeling.
No, it would be like an age gap romance in wartime. Which honestly,
I thought that Jesse and Joe were gonna, because like he invites her. They actually say later that they were flirting when he invited her. They say that later, and then he comes to the van after he just told them that he's getting excited, and goes and sits in the van with her and is like kind of trying to get her to be like, yeah, stay with me, and she says no, and respectfully he is like, all right, cool, and goes and sleeps on the ground.
Yeah.
I mean, I do appreciate that in a time of crisis, they're not focusing on romance.
Yeah. Yes. I was so happy that did not happen in this movie.
And you know what?
There's a place for it.
That's right. And Jesse and Joe can still get together at the after the story.
They're
down the line. We have a 20-year restoration
period. I assume
period
they're together.
Coming in. Yeah.
I would like that to end up together. Although I do like that Jesse, in my worldview, is like this young bisexual kid who's like into Lee, also into Joel.
And now she's heartbroken. And needs to cry her tears into Joel.
Yeah.
I think Jesse has bigger things to worry about by the end of this movie, though.
Yeah, but you know, the heart wants what the heart wants. So
that's true. She does need someone to cry on the shoulder of, and someone that she can also support.
She's 23, and he's gotta be 45.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's wartime.
Age gap.
And although single, it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like one step away from apocalyptic, you know?
Yeah.
They should just move to Canada. I would love to know what's happening in Canada while this is happening.
There you go.
I don't think we're getting
off. This could be a whole thing.
I feel like it's not great for us, is my thought. Minus
what year do we think this is happening? Because doesn't Kristen Dunst's character say that she was in college during the Proud Boys riot or like the Antifa?
It was it was a made up thing. It was the Antifa massacre. It sounded like something that could have happened during today's times.
Yeah.
Maybe like during some more extreme times. I don't think they ever specifically tell us, but yeah, if so, let's assume she's like 40, right?
Yeah.
Say she's like 40 to 43. And if that would have been like, let's say 5 years from now or 5 years from when they wrote this. So let's say 2030, right? Or 2028. So then 20 years onto that. So that's 2048?
50-ish. I don't know.
Yeah.
2050 feels
2050.
right.
2050 feels so far away, but that seems right.
It's only.
No, don't say it. Don't say it.
It's
No,
just
I
one
feel
more
like
drinking age person's life away from us.
Oh my god!
No, I feel like we would have laser guns in 2050.
They
like
did have some laser
photon
guns on
torpedoes.
that helicopter at the
The
end.
helicopter had laser guns.
Oh wait, hang on. Wait, what?
Yeah, the
Yeah, well,
helicopter.
I'm sure it might have been like a scope or something. I don't know, but there were like red coming off the helicopter at the end.
And people were getting like and people were
it
getting
was blowing
hurt.
things up.
Taking down buildings and yeah.
Holy shit! I missed that. Wow, I thought that was something else. I thought those were just sites. That's cool. Okay.
It looked like wherever they were going, buildings were going.
I forgot that this movie takes place kind of in the future, so my thought was, oh, I didn't know we had this technology.
No, yeah, it was. I thought they didn't go. Although you got to figure the technology wouldn't be that far advanced because if things started getting shifty, like 10 years. Let's say this has been going on for like 10 years or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like really the hard war issues, like 8 to 10 years is what that seems like. Because there's like some real derelict towns out there, like they're really going through some stuff that's been there for a few years. So the technology would only be 10 years from us now, realistically.
Computers still looked old, but
Yeah.
But if that's all they have, that's okay. Now, does the movie indicate what happens after President, whatever his name is unalived? Like, is there a new president? Do they just have to do order?
Anarchy.
Is it anarchy? Is it peaceful anarchy?
I think they said that the Western forces, being the rebels, the good guys. I mean, they're not acting fabulous, but that they would be the winners. They kept referring to it like they were winning if they did that. So I assume it means that the government that was governing the United States of America that didn't include the secessionists would now be under their rule, their democracy, which I assume would be trying to get back to the normal democracy.
I don't know.
Yeah, I guess.
Like, there's no like head speaker for the Western forces that we see in the movie, right?
That's what they were saying, is that they weren't very organized.
Yeah, they spent all the money to make a new flag. Like, they're their own thing now.
Not that different. You just erase how many stars.
I guess
well, they had 2 big ones on there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Every state gets to decide who they team up with, or they go out on their own and hack it, you know?
At the end, she says we're asking for, what did she say? We're asking for Germany, or no, Sweden or Alaska, or she says something.
Oh, Greenland or Alaska. That's where we want to go.
Greenland or Alaska.
So Alaska is its own thing now.
So that's what I'm saying. They're not part of the Western Front. That's a neutral zone. So they succeeded in succeeding. So why, if they let Alaska succeed, why didn't they just let California and Texas?
I don't know if Alaska succeeded, because she's just talking about like a sanctuary, whatever. You know what I mean?
No, but she says a neutral zone. So she specifically says it's neutral, like Sweden neutral.
Maybe it's just because like it's just so far away, you know, like distance wise.
I guess, but it's just odd.
Why wouldn't she say Hawaii?
Because you can't get there.
They gave it back to the indigenous folk.
You can logically get to Alaska from going up through Canada and stuff, but like you can't go out into the Pacific and get there. Now, I assume that they have planes, but maybe not. Maybe they only have helicopters.
Listen,
I
I
don't know.
want like a Game of Thrones in-depth history about how we get to Civil War. Like I want like the full history about how Texas and California teamed up, why Florida is the way it is, why Alaska is a safe haven. Like I want all of it. And I want to know what Canada's like.
It's kind of a shame that it's not a book series. Like I kind of wish this was based on a book series.
No, but then I want that to transition into a prequel for the Hunger Games. I want to know how this turns into the Hunger Games.
What year is the Hunger Games?
I can't remember.
It either turns into the Hunger Games.
Isn't it like close to like 2100 or something?
That lines up.
That seems accurate.
Seems accurate.
Yeah, I want to say around 2100.
I should know this as a Hunger
Rest in peace, Donald Sutherland, Mr. X.
When does Hunger Games take place?
Yeah, isn't it better that we don't have the answers to these questions now? Because we're not going to like whatever they give us. You know, whatever they give us, we're going to be like, oh, that doesn't make sense. Oh, that's a stupid reason for
I think I agree
Texas and California to team up.
I wouldn't like it if it was an in-depth thing, but I would have liked more breadcrumbs in the movie, like worked into the film.
Yes.
Yeah, like some hints would have been nice.
Yeah.
If this was a video game, there would have been a lot of good hints.
Yeah.
This would be a great video game.
We would have gotten that.
Hunger Games starts like Katniss trilogy starts in 2312.
Whoa!
Yeah, 300 years into the future.
Regular Hunger Games happen.
So probably like Donald Sutherland is in his 20s, or President Snow.
True.
So I guess 80 years before that. So in 22 something, late 2020.
Yeah, they could be in the same universe. That could be the byproduct of Civil War. That's
Coriolanus.
Coriolanus. You know what? Civil War, Hunger Games, done.
Oh, it's the same universe. I like it.
Somewhere,
I like it.
In there, we have the Ralph Fiennes Coriolanus,
and we can fit Planet of the Apes in here. This could be the prequel to either Planet of the Apes, or well, I guess not Planet of the Apes because we don't have monkeys, but. This could be the fall of civilization, is what I'm saying. I'm surprised nukes aren't flying. You know, like this Ron Swanson, I feel like he would be dropping nukes on his own cities at that point. No. Didn't they say Philadelphia?
They were dropping bombs.
Bombs.
They were dropping bombs on places.
Here's the deal. At what point is another country going to step in and bring democracy back to the United States? Wouldn't that be ironic?
Well, I mean, I guess that turns it from, then that's the sequel. It's not Civil War, then it's
Canada.
War.
It's all building up to a War of 1812 rematch. Canada comes in, trying to save
what's
the day.
Canada military look like? Guys coming out pulling little red wagons?
Really weak.
Not great.
Yeah, although...
You guys told us to stop building jets, and we did.
Yeah, we listened. But also, like, a lot of our tax money still goes to the war efforts, I guess.
Yeah.
Wait, what? That's where like my 13% is going when I buy gum.
Whoa.
Well, and you still have a National Guard and stuff, don't you? I
have something to say. I want to bring attention to Kristen in the comments, who's I am so flattered. Thank you very much.
That is extremely. That would be a great compliment.
That's remarkably flattering. Thank you.
I think you have a better tone than Nick Offerman, but
I'm biased. That's high praise.
I am biased.
Thank you, darling. I'm sorry I derailed the conversation. Please continue.
I was gonna say, who's ready for the game? Unless there's more to say about this movie.
Oh, I love the old guy. The old guy was fantastic.
He
was one of my favorite parts of the movie. He's great in Dune.
He's great in Fences.
Oh yeah.
Fences.
I loved him so much. He was
yeah.
You knew he was going to go from the
When he
beginning.
saved the day with the car. Oh,
that was so good. I love that.
Can I also say that this movie had one of the most realistic puke scenes I've ever seen?
Yes.
Yeah.
On the lap.
That was very realistic. Matter of fact, the special effects in this movie, don't know how many were practical, don't know how many were added in post, but really, really good special effects in this movie. And I don't know. I just think that this movie is really great.
The only wonky visual effect that I was like, this is so CGI and it's not that good, was when the president's cars were coming out and the tanks were hitting it. There was like a few shots where it looked very animated, and I was like, A24, this is an A24 movie. Fully not enough budget for the CGI.
Next time.
But that's okay. It's fine. I know it wasn't about the special effects.
Mm-hmm.
We just needed to get past that.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say something not accurate. I was going to be like, well, the movie wasn't about anything. No, but it was about stuff. It wasn't for me. But if it's nominated for all the Oscars, I'll revisit it then, and maybe I'll appreciate it in March of next year.
Yeah.
So we shall see. All right. So for tonight's game, I'm very excited for tonight's game. For tonight's game, we are taking a page out of the We Like Theme Parks game book, which Jeanette will be very familiar with. Yes. So I tried to pull my best Chris Bond tonight with a before and after style game. So if you're familiar with Wheel of Fortune, when they have before and after clues, that's basically what this is. So I'm going to give you a clue, and it is a combination of a president's name with something else. So to try to give a sense of what a before and after is, I'll try to think of an example that doesn't use presidents. I can't think of anything right now. Hold on. Let's Google it.
Fantastic.
It's great.
Before and after. Okay. So, here we go. So before and after could be like airport terminal illness. Or...
So airport terminal is a set of words, and terminal illness is a set of words. So when you run them together, like Tony Hawk Tua.
Yes.
It's it works out just like that.
Keith Urban Myth is another one. Keith Urban Myth.
So and then I have to answer before or after?
No. That's the answer is the thing. He's going to tell us something, and we're going to go, oh, it's Abraham Lincoln logs or something like that.
Wow. You're full of these. This is great.
I'm not gonna do well. I'm so confused.
This is one of my favorite. This is one of my favorite Wheel of Fortune games.
Yeah, these are the Jeopardy clues I do not do well in.
Oh no, Wheel of Fortune, not Jeopardy. Wheel of Fortune.
No, they do this in Jeopardy too.
No, this is a Jeopardy
every now and then they did.
So this is going to be a free for all. So when you think you know it, just shout out the answer. If you're wrong, you don't get to shout out another answer, but the other two people can try. All right, here we go. Now, these were very hard to write. So there's only 8 instead of 10.
Now you see why Bondo ends up sounding like Bondo when he does.
Oh, I know. And I use that as inspiration to be like, no, have some strain of logic here. So I will say that in all of these clues, the president names are intact.
Okay.
So, for example,
we're adding on to the president name.
Yeah, either before or after the president name. So, for example, I wanted to do like James Marilyn Monroe because there's James Monroe, but that wouldn't count because it broke up his name.
It broke it up.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, guys, this is rough. I'm gonna fail this.
Yeah. So, like for example, I didn't add this one because I thought it would be too niche, but I almost did Etta James Monroe. It was going to be like, can you believe this president is also a world-renowned jazz singer? Etta James Monroe. Yeah.
That would be a Jeopardy question right there.
Kristen, play along in the comments. We'll see if
we won't look.
Okay, here we go. This is gonna be so much fun. Okay, here we are. Can you believe this 18th century president decided to become a major figure in the abstract expressionist movement, best known for his drip technique?
Andrew Jackson Pollock.
Yes, Andrew Jackson Pollock. You got it, Jeanette.
I was so close.
Wait, hang on. Is this a race or or
Yes, first come, first serve.
Okay, first come, first serve.
I thought it would take longer for the mental wheels to turn. I didn't think it would be that quick. So here we go. Okay, next. Little did the 33rd president know, but he was being watched on his own dedicated television network 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Warner? Is there a Warner?
Little did the 33rd president know, but he was being watched on his own dedicated television network 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Truman! Something Truman! Truman Show!
Oh,
Harry Truman Show.
It's the Harry S. Truman Show. I'll give it to Jeanette. Yes.
I said it first!
You didn't say Harry Truman.
I said Harry Truman Show! Play the video back!
I think she did. I heard her say Harry Truman, and then I think she threw in the word show after, and I didn't hear it. But now that she's saying it, she did say it. Yeah.
We'll give it to Lisa.
It was just chopped up. Yeah.
Give it to Lisa. Okay, next. Can you believe the very first president moved to this Manhattan borough?
George Washington Heights.
That's the one. Good job, Bruce.
Nice.
Now, a lot of these I realized, well, actually, just that one probably shouldn't count because Washington Heights, I think, is actually named after George Washington indirectly. But yeah. Yeah, just like the Kennedy Space Center is named after John F. Kennedy. So I couldn't use that. But next, here we go. You know, the 38th president had to concentrate really hard to name this car model.
Gerald Ford T? Gerald Model Ford T?
That is incorrect. Lisa, Vince, I'll read you the clue one more time.
One more time.
The 38th president had to concentrate really hard to name this car model.
Gerald Ford Focus.
That's correct.
Oh my God. That is so good.
Well done. Well done.
That's not bad. That's.
Wait, so you're telling me between, I guess that makes sense. God, that seems so. You say 33rd was Truman and 38th, 35th was Ford? Something you said? I don't know. It just seems so close together.
33rd was Truman, 38th was Ford.
Wow. I don't know why that's 20 years apart, I suppose, at least.
Next. Whoa. Can you believe the 31st president of the United States was also a 60-story tall concrete dam conveniently located near Las Vegas?
Herbert Hoover Dam.
Yes, the Herbert Hoover Dam.
Yeah, but isn't that named after him?
It is.
It is. I told you.
But it's called the Hoover Dam. Is it called the Herbert Hoover Dam?
No, it's just called the Hoover
No, it's just called the Hoover Dam. I think because with John F. Kennedy, it's actually the John F. Kennedy Space Center. You can't do it. That one is just the Hoover Dam, so we technically.
Technically. Okay. Oh, they're about to get a lot more fun. I'm saving the really fun ones for last. We got 3 left. Here we go.
Okay.
You're telling me he was Indiana Jones, Han Solo, and the 23rd president of the United States?
Gerald, no.
It's, oh God, what's the guy's first name? He's not a freaking Beetle either. No, it's
not a Beetle.
What is his first name?
The
only Harrisons I can think of.
I almost did the Beetle for this one, but
what is his first name? I don't know. Say the thing again.
Please say it again. Yeah.
You're telling me he was Indiana. Oh wait, you're telling me this person was Indiana Jones, Han Solo, and the 23rd president of the United States?
I don't know Harrison's first name.
John Harrison Ford.
That is incorrect.
William Harrison Ford?
That is incorrect. Lisa, do you want to pick a random male name?
This is his first name. It's killing me.
Yeah. Andrew Harrison Ford.
We were looking for Benjamin Harrison.
I would have never arrived there. Oh my God. And it's so ironic because Ben Solo killed him.
That's why. All right. This one I wrote specifically for Jeanette, but also for Kristen since she's here with us. Okay. Can you believe this guy abolished slavery and won an Oscar for Best Actor?
Abraham Lincoln Logs. No.
Say it
What
again.
was that last bit?
Can you
say it
believe
again.
this guy abolished slavery and won an Oscar for Best Actor in Amadeus?
Oh. I don't know.
Oh, F. Murray Abraham Lincoln.
Yes, F. Murray Abraham Lincoln.
Sweet.
Nice.
Because she
Wait.
answered wrong.
Y'all weren't gonna get
Hang on.
Oh, yeah,
Hang
you're
on.
right.
I'm being vindicated in the comments here. Apparently, there was a William Harrison.
Was he president?
Well, that's a good question.
Or was he just the person that existed?
I'm looking this up.
Oh,
I
wait.
got.
Never mind. Oh, yeah, there was. He was the 9th.
Yeah.
Vince, you got a point. You got another point. There we go.
Nice.
All right.
Yeah, Kristen. Thank you.
This is my favorite one. This is the last one for the regular round. Here we go. This president is flawless. I hear his hair is insured for $10,000. I hear he does car commercials in Japan. One time, this president met John Stamos and he told him he was pretty. This president punched me in the face once. It was awesome.
Is that a monologue from something? Oh, okay. And it's a before and after?
Regina George Washington.
No.
George Bush. Regina George Bush.
Yes, Regina George Bush.
I was like, we already had George Bush. I would have never gotten there.
Thanks, babe.
Yes.
I didn't know you can't reuse presidents.
I didn't use Bush
Only
already.
2 times. No, you should have been allowed to reuse them.
That's true. I should have. Regina George Bush. It's
Amazing.
hilarious.
Amazing. It is. That's good. That was good.
All right. These are our point standings. Vince has 4. And Lisa and Jeanette are tied with 2. How many points do we all want to win?
Really? Jeanette? I feel like Jeanette should have more.
No, we both got. We got some right at the same time.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm all in.
All in.
Okay.
I will bet nothing.
No.
I think you have to bet for the
Okay.
final round.
No.
No, because if one of you win, then it's a tiebreaker round.
Yeah.
Round. Okay. So we'll see who goes head to head with Vince. Because no, never mind. Maybe you'll both get this bonus question wrong. But this is one where you have to write it down. It's not before and after. It's just a history thing.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the question is, which president has been portrayed the most on screen in film?
Okay.
Which president has been portrayed the most in movies? Real life president. Granted, no, I can't think of any fictional presidents that would be portrayed more than real life.
Hang on, does this include like TV shows and like throwaway?
You don't even have to answer, Vince. You didn't bet anything.
Oh, okay. Well, I still want to contribute.
Okay. Well, it's what Google told me is the president. I guess movies. I did ask Google for movies. So movies, not TV. All right.
I'm torn between 2.
I know.
Let's
Me
lock in our
too.
answers. Let's start with Jeanette. Nixon. Okay. Lisa.
I also said Nixon.
Okay. Vince.
I put JFK.
But my
You're all wrong. Kristen wins. It's
Abraham Lincoln. That's
That
the
was
one
my
I was
second
Oh,
that was my second guess.
I
Yeah.
know they talk about Abraham Lincoln a lot, but I feel
oh,
like
is it
sometimes
because
it's
of the
not shown.
dollar bill? Is it because of the
No,
U.S. dollar
they
bill?
literally
No, it's
portray-
actual
Well, I think
actors.
it's because he's like
Oh, yeah.
older.
Lisa, we both were thinking of that was our
I
backup.
know. I was like, should I write Lincoln? I should have wrote Lincoln.
Okay, Vince, you won.
Congratulations!
I'm back, baby.
Kristen might
Closing up the political theme.
have actually been Kristen. I forgot to keep score.
Oh, Kristen. Yeah,
Kristen's
Kristen
on point.
deserves the win.
And you need to come on and
Kristen for president.
Yeah,
see us on air.
Yes.
you're here in the chat. Come on.
Yeah. Oh, this game was fun. I want to do this more often, even though it's a lot more work.
I love before and afters.
I love before and after as well. All right. Well,
It's all right.
closing thoughts on the U.S. presidency and the movies that we love and don't love about it. Let's start with
I
you.
think this month has been a lot of fun. I think that all of the movies were differently paced and differently themed and mooded. So it was nice. It wasn't just like a bunch of serious movies about presidents. So yeah, I thought that it was a nice change of pace. I think we're all done with politics now. I'm all done with politics now. Favorite movie this month. My favorite one's probably Civil War. Going into it, it was The American President, but then I rewatched Civil War and I was like, I really do love this movie a lot. So yeah.
Nice. I'd like to point out Kristen's first order as our president is to make us all rewatch Peter Pan. I will abide.
No, Kristen.
You voted for her. It's
Kristen,
too late.
I will do anything that you want. That's not that.
No,
anything else.
No, you have to go through the secretary now. The president's too busy.
Anything, Kristen. I will clean your toilet. Anything else.
Toilet.
You will not.
I totally would. Yeah.
Okay. Lisa, what are your closing thoughts on President Month?
Anarchy.
Anarchy in the UK. In the USA.
I think American politics are so interesting, just so interesting, so dramatic. It is theater, political theater, right here before our eyes. Yeah, I really enjoyed Civil War. I think that was like my favorite of the entire mosaic of what we watched, and it sadly feels like it might be happening in our near future. So there we go.
I want House of Yes to happen in my near future.
What part of it, Matt?
I said what I said. Vince, what do you think?
He's only child, so it's fine.
I've never seen Vince's pupils that clearly before.
Oh my God, Matt, you are so lucky you're an only child.
Yeah, otherwise we have got a lot of questions to do.
Well, it's just I already have the hat, so no, I don't.
That would be great.
I'm gonna pull out Jack Dio's hat.
Oh my God.
That's what you should do for Halloween this year.
No.
I second that. Yo, look, I really liked this movie. I thought it was good. I think the cinematography was great. Best cinematography. I'm predicting it. Yep. You heard it here. Best sound. You're gonna get those. These are some of the best gunshots I've ever heard. You know, this is the only movie I ever know of where people were telling me to see it in theaters for the gunshots alone.
Okay.
And sadly, I did not, but that rang true on the television still.
Oh my God, I would have PTSD if we had seen this in the theater.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It was so loud on my TV. My God.
Yeah.
Yeah, loved it. Best screenplay. I think it's gonna get a nomination here. You can play this footage back on Oscar night when we're.
Don't want it.
Anyway, yeah. Look, I thought it was great. You know, not my favorite movie of the of our cycle though. I'm gonna say JFK was my favorite. Loved it with all my heart, even though it was 3.5 hours. Well, 3 hours and 10 minutes.
Yeah. Trying to think, what was my favorite movie or my least favorite? Well, I mean, I guess favorite was House of Yes, but I'm not going to count that because I knew that going in. Probably Frost Nixon, I think, is my favorite.
Really?
That was really good too. I liked Frost Nixon.
Yeah,
I gotta get that one in.
Yeah, I really like Frost Nixon. I feel like it did a solid job dramatizing a real historical thing. I feel somewhat fairly portraying real life human beings in a very fictionalized setting. And I don't know, I like the hybrid of like, these are the interviews, here's what might have happened. And at the same time, it gives you sort of a sense of what that era was like in time and within the presidency. And yeah, that's kind of what I want, I think, from a president movie. I don't want a documentary. But I also don't want something that's too far out of the scope of reality. I'm interested in just seeing a dramatization rooted in real life happenings and politics. And yeah, maybe if I rewatch Civil War, I'll get more of that. We'll see. One day. I almost want to say my least favorite ended up being The Butler. which I really liked in the moment. But thinking back to it, just not into the casting. I'm not into like the gimmicky, like here's another A-lister. This is
yeah.
what they are.
The problem with The Butler is the good stuff was forgettable, and the bad stuff, the casting, we're never going to forget it.
Exactly.
No, I'll never forget John Cusack Nixon, ever in my whole life will I ever forget that. Because it was so hard to figure out who he was supposed to be. Full rewind to figure out who this guy's supposed to be. I was like, that's Nixon? Okay.
All right, there it is. All right, well, thank you, everybody. Always a pleasure. It is that time of the night. Let everyone know who you are, where they can find you, and any other closing thoughts you have, either on politics, presidents, civil wars. Let's start with Lisa.
Hey, everyone. Final thoughts on politics? How many times can I say anarchy on this thing?
Not enough. Do it again.
Oh, man. No, I'm a filthy socialist at heart, folks. Get out there and vote if you're in America. I think there's a Canadian election coming up soon, provincially or federally. So get out there and vote no matter where you are.
Is that happening?
I think there is.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm Lisa. You can follow me on Instagram at Lisa_A_Alves. You can follow me on TikTok at Lisa Alves Creations. You can find me here most Wednesdays or whenever Matt schedules a show, because I love movies and I love talking to my friends about movies. Peace. Go out and vote.
Woo!
Oh, hello. Yeah, my name is Vince. I run a channel called Only Time Will Tell. You can find it on YouTube or TikTok, even Instagram. You can find me on Instagram. Yeah. Oh, you know what I've been doing lately? I've been writing movies, writing pilots. I've been writing scripts, and you know what? I'm looking for representation. So if you're an agent, if you're like in the screenwriter representation business, here's my pitch. Hire me and get in touch with me. You heard it here. If you could deal with like an hour and a half of me on a Wednesday afternoon, you can deal with me in a meeting. Come on, Wednesday evening. All anyway, right. See you around. Only time will tell. Follow me. Sorry for the Dutch angle.
It's okay.
Hello. Yeah. So it's the end of President's Month, and we're moving into spooky times. So I'm excited. And yeah, so you can find me here soon, not next week, soon, right? And and you can find me over on We Like Theme Parks podcast. New episodes every Thursday. And you should check out tomorrow specifically because Mr. Matthew Yipchuk will be with us. So you should check that episode out. And check me out at TinkerJ787 on Instagram.
Woo! And I'm Matt, and this is my channel. Thank you so much for joining us for President's Month. Keep an eye on the channel for when we announce the next movie marathon. I think I know what it is. I might change my mind. I don't know. We'll see. I'm tired. President's Month took a lot out of my brain. That's it. Thank you for joining us, everyone. Let us know who you're voting for in the next presidential election in the comment section, or don't. That was probably not appropriate to ask. Whatever. There's only one of you watching. I think you're a Canadian. So thanks, everyone. Have a good night. My name is Matt, and I have 2 degrees and 1 teacup. How do you end this? Oh, how do you actually end this? They streamer change things. It's not even a joke anymore.